I'm Kevin, and I'm joined by my co-host with Harrison Bader like hair.
Yeah, it's a weird ordeal. Katie is just proving to be childish.
Which is why I don't feel I would give $5 million to Jack Campbell.
I don't know. Baseball is one of those sports where anyone who makes the playoffs really can be a contender.
I think the Padres definitely do it.
I don't think Donovan Mitchell gets traded.
Kyrie Irving does have the track record of not being a great locker room fit, or even good locker room fit.
Bader got some luscious locks. I gotta say it.
This is Zach Bigley, the broadcaster for the Frisco Rough Riders, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin. You guys better subscribe.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NBA Opinions of the Week. The man that was waiting, like me, for this to become official. The Karl Anthony Towns trade to the Knicks. Austin.
Yeah, so this is something that was not expected, I think, by either of us. Cat seemed like ingrained in Minnesota culture, and the same could be said with Dante DiVincenzo with the Knicks. Maybe not Julius Randle. I thought Julius Randle would be traded, but here, now, I didn't know if that was going to be the case. And what are your initial thoughts about it? I definitely was shocked, but I can see the idea.
Yeah, I see the idea as well. To me, there are a couple of thoughts. There's like one miscellaneous thought. I'll save that for the end. The main thought is it was always talked about like, oh, Karl Anthony Towns could be traded. There was always like, it's always those rumors of just like this guy's going to be traded. And you're like, okay, whatever. Like this is just off-season talk. And then it actually happened just out of the blue. There was no buildup. It was Karl Anthony Towns is going to the Knicks, which is incredibly weird. I do understand Julius Randle sort of in the realm to me of where it's like, okay, they're talking about it, but it made more sense because they had traded and they had gone on a far run when he was in and out of the lineup last season.
With injuries, but yeah.
Yeah, with injuries, yeah. So to me, I was like, okay, I can see this, but if I'm being completely honest, if the Knicks were trading for a center, I thought it was going to be Joel Embiid, not Karl Anthony Towns, because that you understand what I'm saying. There's always that trade speculation of like, oh, this is a guy that could be traded. I can't think of another player recently. It's maybe Tim Hardaway Jr. is just like on the lower scale, but maybe it's Jimmy Butler. It's always like, hey, Jimmy Butler could be traded. And you're just like, yeah, that's off-season talk. So I see the idea from the Knicks. And I understand it from the Timberwolves as well. I think we can go into that. I'll start with the Timberwolves. To me, I think they did well with Cat defensively. That was always the problem. And to me, that what led to the trade Cat. But I do think this is them kind of going on, okay, they're going to trust Rudy Gobert. And then I can't believe I'm forgetting his name, sixth man of the year. Oh, no, he missed it. Naz Reid. Oh, he did win. He did. Okay. Naz Reid. I think they want to put him more in the lineup, and he, I would say, is a better defender than Cat, but this really hurts the offense of the Timberwolves.
But adding DiVincenzo adds another shooter because they lose Cat as a shooter, but they gain Dante DiVincenzo, who was one of the best shooters in the league last year, especially with how many he was taking. Julius Randle's a better ball handler, and I would say passer than Cat, but he is a little bit more selfish. So they're going to have to try to figure out the team dynamics and make that all work out. I do think Rudy Gobert is slightly underrated by a lot of people. A lot of people are his hater, but he was a big reason why the Timberwolves were so good last year because of his defensive presence. I'm really interested to see if they can get Julius Randle to commit to Minnesota basketball, or if they're going to have to deal with him being a little bit of his own way. Whenever he gets the ball, it's kind of a black hole. We'll see. On to the Knicks. I mean, I like the trade. I do. It just kind of makes their lineup a little bit confusing because I don't know what they're going to do with a guy like – they still have Mitchell Robinson.
Yes.
And I don't know what they do with him. Because if you start – okay, so the whole point of Cat playing worse last year was because he was at power forward, in my opinion. or the past 2 years, he's played a little bit worse, and especially in some bad series. But if you're going to start Mitchell Robinson because he's like the Rudy Gobert, you're kind of putting him in the same situation. So I just feel like there's a little bit of a loss in translation with me where I don't know what's going to happen there. And if you are going to play him at power forward, you're going to have to bench Josh Hart. And I don't want to do that. I wouldn't want to do that because it would be, if you did bench Josh Hart, it would be Brunson, Kel, OG, Cat, and Mitchell Robinson. But if you wanted to go a little bit more rebound heavy, you'd put in Josh Hart and then have OG move to the power forward, Mikal at small forward, and Brunson obviously is the 1 while Cat's at the 5. I think that'd be a better move. Do you think they trade Mitchell Robinson, or do you think they're committed to what roster they have at now? They've already made 2 big trades this year. Did they make another one?
Yeah, that's a great point with the 2 big trades. And to me, kind of going back, their need for a center started with Isaiah Hartenstein. And we were wondering, I thought they were going to draft Zach Edey and have someone, because I thought Mitchell Robinson would start. He has dealt with injuries, but so has Cat. And I saw, except I briefly saw the name, so I don't know if it's a joke. They're listening to Robinson rumors or Robinson trade offers, but to me, then they're just back at the same spot. Instead, they have Cat. To me, they're probably going to bring Robinson off the bench, but that does bring up the point.
Yeah, I just feel like they have. I don't know. Can you bring Robinson off the bench? Because you couldn't play Cat during those minutes. That's kind of my problem. Is I don't like Cat at power forward, and so in those minutes where you play Robinson, I feel like you're putting yourself at a disadvantage if you're playing Cat.
And it's a disadvantage because defensively, Robinson's better than Cat.
Cat cannot guard the perimeter.
Yeah.
Cat is not horrible at guarding the paint. He's not. I think he's a little bit underrated as a paint defender. But I wouldn't want him guarding if you're playing small ball. I know the Warriors aren't the greatest team in the world, but I feel like Warriors would be a bad matchup. I just don't know how you're guarding the switches and everything because they're basically playing no center. Kyle Anderson is playing center right now.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the East. Stick to the East. What about the Celtics? The Celtics have a deep roster and they can basically go 5 out. They don't play exactly small, but
they do though. Small ball, I feel like is yes, people say it because of height, but I would consider what the Celtics do small ball because of how KP can handle himself. He can create his own shot. He can shoot from 35 feet. I mean, we saw that in the finals. They play pseudo small ball, if you want to call it whatever. They have one of the tallest lineups in the league because you have Tatum and Brown and everybody else. So they have a tall lineup. But the way they play is extremely small ball. They take a lot of shots are threes. They pass the ball a lot. There's not a lot of post-ups. And if they are post-ups, they're usually really far away from the basket. But they're not necessarily small, but it's a small ball-orientated offense where they're just passing the ball around. Everyone can handle. Everyone can do their own thing on offense, and they're fine. And that matchup, I think, would be horrible for them because I think the Celtics are a horrible matchup for everyone. But you have a great defender, Drew Holiday, and Brunson. And while Brunson, I do think, will get his fair share of points. You Mikal, Derek White, that's a good matchup. But Derek White's still a great defender. You have OG versus Jaylen Brown. And I like that matchup for the Knicks because Jaylen Brown, OG's a great defender, so I feel like he could get Jaylen Brown to do a lot of things. But then it's either Josh Hart on Tatum, which, I mean, Tatum can get in his own way, and a KP on Cat. So I don't know if I necessarily like that for the Knicks. I feel like the Knicks would have to play a different brand of basketball than they're playing right this second, or at least that we saw last year, for them to actually have a chance of winning that series. But we'll see what adjustments Tibbs makes. Here's another thing with trading Mitchell Robinson. Tibbs likes to play players on his team that he plays a lot. So if he plays 7 guys, that means Mitchell Robinson's playing 30 minutes, even if it's off the bench, or 20 minutes, 25 minutes. It's not going to be like, let's just play you 15 minutes or 20 minutes. It'll be 25 to 30, even if he's off the bench, because they like to play their guys all the time. And so I feel like trading Robinson would take away that like urge to play him with Cat.
Yeah, and something to bring that up, I would say both teams are kind of changing what I thought they were aiming for. Well, I'll focus on the Timberwolves later because it's a little bit more nuanced. To me, the Knicks were just going to be like, hey, we're building a fantastic defense. And that was emphasized with the OG and Anunoby trade last year. And just the pinnacle was getting Mikal Bridges back. They were, to me, where they're going to have a great defense. They're going to miss Hartenstein, but they still have Mitchell Robinson. Now, Cat, he's not bad defensively. But to me, as you were talking about, it's tough because you bring up a great point of small ball and just kind of how the Celtics play. If you're the Knicks, you have to get through the Celtics. And because the goal is for the Knicks, win a championship, I'm sure with every team.
Especially after they were a 2 seed last year, they made a lot of
Yeah.
these moves. They paid Brunson. I mean, this is definitely
it's a realistic goal and a realistic expectation for the Knicks to be competing for a championship. Not matching up against the reigning East champion and NBA champion Celtics is not good for you. And I forgot Thibodeau coached Karl-Anthony Towns, so I'm curious on what input he had in this trade.
I don't know. I don't know how much impact they would give him, especially because, I mean, he's not like I don't know. What do you think?
I think he had to be there like, hey, we're working on something with Cat, and he probably was in favor of it because to me, he loved Dante DiVincenzo. And he's like, I think it can work here because he is a defensive guy. He's probably thinking, okay, I can make this work. And of course, Cat helps on the offense. It's just defensively, you have to do well against an incredible Celtics offense. And you, of course, have an incredible Celtics defense. But to me, it's stopping those Celtics. And if KP's healthy, which he was in the Eastern Conference Finals a little bit, it'd be tough for Cat to guard KP. And even if KP's not healthy, you still have Al Horford as well for the Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, you make great points. I'm really intrigued with how this looks for both teams. I think the Timberwolves, I think either of these two teams could have gotten better or worse by this trade. I think this is one of the few ones I'm going to have to say truly like wait and see to see who won it. I don't think I can say one side or the other because both of these trades give them the ability to win the trade because of the pieces they got. But also because of either the personalities or the certain systems they're going to have to run with the guy that they've gotten, it could be done wrong.
Yeah, it could. To me, the goal from the Knicks is we're competing for a championship. And I would say at least, of course, you win the NBA Finals. This is a win for you. But to me, just getting to the NBA Finals would be a win for them in this trade. For the Timberwolves, it seems to me this is almost a step back trade to get better in a few years because I like Dante DiVincenzo. Julius Randle helps them now. Same thing with Dante DiVincenzo. But to me, they have a lot of growing players. Mike Conley's getting older. So as I mentioned in another video, I can see Dante DiVincenzo moving into the starting lineup, being a defender and being a shooter. But then you have the point guard problem. And there are other stuff that the Timberwolves did this offseason that signal to me this may be sort of, okay, we went to the Western Conference Finals. We're going to try to do that again with the pieces we have now, but we are also building ourselves for the future. So that's all I really have. I'll toss this over to you to close out.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Please let us know what your thoughts are about the Cat trade. Who won it? And what do you expect for next year for both of these teams? Thank you guys for listening.